name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Roger.
And today we're going to recap this past Saturday's junior lightweight title fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and Jason Sosa. Also on that card, we had a cruiserweight, WBO cruiserweight title fight between the champ Alexander Usyk and challenger Michael Hunter. Then we had a light heavyweight contenders match between Alexander Gvozdyk and Yaneski Gonzalez. So we're going to start with Hunter and Usyk and move all the way up. Take it away, Rob.
All right. In a correction from the preview, this was a defense of Usyk's WBO title.
Second.
It was a defense, not his first one, but his second defense of his WBO cruiserweight title against a very game Michael Hunter, who was a part of the 2012 U.S. Olympic team. He was 12-0, 11 KOs or 10? 10 KOs against Usyk, who not as many. He was 11-0 with like 10 knockouts. So even though they had similar records, the skill level, there was a vast difference.
Yes.
Usyk had way more amateur fights. I don't think Michael Hunter had as many amateur fights, nowhere near. And like we said in the preview video, the Ukrainian the Ukrainian school system, boxing system, is probably one of the more talented ones in the world. I said in the Eastern Bloc. No, it's the world.
Yeah.
So in saying that, we got to see it on full display. Michael Hunter, I would have happened to say going into the at the end of the first half of the fight, they were maybe even. He looked good. He was very game, but then that boxing ability of Usyk just started to take over. And by the 12th round, Usyk was pretty much winning handily. They could have stopped the fight, but the referee let the fight go on. Michael Hunter was just trying to get to the bell, and I would actually
he did.
And I would actually say Michael Hunter, I'm not saying he would have beat him, but a little bit more seasoning for a fight of this caliber would have benefited him.
Yeah.
And it is a cruiserweight division, which is a lot more talented
than
than
give it credit for.
Right, because it's not a U.S. division, but it is very entertaining. So I would say pay attention to this. I would like to see Michael Hunter get back in there and really take some time to work on those skills, because they compared him to what's your boy name? Dominic Brazil, but he's more polished and sharper, I would actually say. But I would like to see him really work on, one, tighten up their defense, because there's a lot of times he drops his hands and he lets that jab fall instead of bringing it back to protect himself, and maybe work on his footwork a little bit better.
Yeah. Also, two other things. One, he was fighting Usyk off of a year layoff.
Yes.
So getting him active would help him a great deal, and also working on his stamina, because one of the reasons that Usyk was able to pull away was superior conditioning. The second thing was superior management of distance. You saw they had a lot of close exchanges, a lot of punches were thrown, but because Usyk was sharper and knew how to get the range on his punches better, as the fight wore on, you could see him stepping back just enough to land that left hand on Hunter and start to cause damage. Both guys flurried well to the body, and you can start to see the inactivity and lack of quality competition start to show on Hunter as the fight progressed. And you can see, like Rob said, that amateur pedigree and the higher pro competition of Usyk start to elevate him above. So he was able to get his distance better. He was able to time Hunter better as the rounds went on, and start to land some punishing shots to where he began to visibly hurt Hunter from the 8th round on.
Yes.
Hunter never really landed anything that gave Usyk any real trouble. He got his attention, oh man, I shouldn't have got hit with that, or dang, he hit me, let me regroup and reset. But it was nothing where it ever looked to where he was in trouble or looked in danger of going down, like the 12th round for Hunter. So, like Rob said, we got to see what goes next. Marco Huck just lost his title, I believe, on the same weekend.
That was to
I can't remember.
Marius Bradis.
Yes. And so that could be a good unification fight right there.
There's also Dorticos, who's very good. He's undefeated, and he is Cuban.
Yeah, they probably won't get him just yet, but like you said, he's one of the names to look out for. But we'll see what happens with both those guys, and then maybe Hunter can fight like Slovakia or something like that.
Yeah.
That might be too soon too. But
and let's not forget, I mean, he's up there at heavyweight for now, but Tony Bellew still holds a belt at cruiserweight, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he does, and I'm not sure if he vacated it yet.
Exactly.
I'll have to look that up and put it down below, because I know he was planning on staying at heavyweight for maybe like 1 or 2 more fights, so he might have gotten rid of it. But let's move on to the next fight, where we had Alexander Gvozdyk, who is a rising light heavyweight prospect, against Yuneski Gonzalez, who is, I guess, for terms of, you know, the cliches that we use, I would assume we would use the term gatekeeper. Someone who is not quite a contender, but he's not a has-been or never was. He's one of those guys that's really going to test you to make sure, you know, you're ready for the next level. And we were expecting that kind of fight with Gvozdyk.
Yep.
What we got was the cream rising to the top, to use another cliche. Gvozdyk looked outstanding in this fight against a guy who gave 2 other very highly ranked light heavyweights all they could handle, and he went through them like a hot knife through butter.
Oh yeah.
I'm throwing out all the cliches here, throwing them all out there. But the jab of Gvozdyk was on point. He was very sharp, and something that I noticed from all 3 of these fighters, they're all trained by the same trainer, correct?
No.
Gvozdyk has a trainer.
He's trained by Robert Garcia.
Okay, and then Usyk and Lomachenko are trained by
Lomachenko's dad.
Right. But one of the things that you see from all 3 of these guys is that they refuse to let you hold them. If you're trying to slow down the action and grab them, their footwork and aggressiveness does not allow it. They will shift, they will pivot, they will sidestep, or they will just throw you off them. They will do whatever is needed for you to not hold them and slow down the action, which is very smart and very impressive. And I'm not going to go wax poetic on that. I'm not going to get on the soapbox. But I just like that very much. Gonzalez, who had been 10 rounds with John Pascal and Slava Shabransky, was hurt very badly in the 3rd round and was not allowed out of that round. So not only was it technically sharp, it was the highly impressive, what word am I looking for? He did not want him to grab him. He just completely negated that whole aspect of Gonzalez's game. And then to finish him says a lot. This guy could be one of the next guys to look for. I think this was an IBF eliminator.
Mm-hmm.
So those are one of the belts owned by Andre Ward. So possibly after the fight with Kovalev, we get this fight. But that's a long way between the cup and the lip. I told you guys I'm going to throw out all the cliches here today. What you got?
All right, so yeah, it's a lot of things that Gvozdyk just did much better than Gonzalez and much better than a lot of light heavyweights that you see in this division. And this division is probably the absolute deepest in boxing right now, because I could reel off names. There's one that's fighting this weekend, but it's just a super deep division, and it's starting to work itself out. Some fights are starting to get made, some aren't. It's a little pain in the ass because at some point they're just not getting made because we don't see Barrera versus Beertiev. But even if he doesn't fight in winter Ward Kovalev, you still have Adonis Stevenson, Joe Smith Jr., You have
Fanfare,
Dmitry Bivol, Beer. It's just a deep division. You have Marcus Brown, Kalachik, guys who you want to see, you may not know, but it's good competition. And what I liked about Gvozdyk is his ability to control distance, because Yuneski Gonzalez he doesn't jab. He's a guy that wants to throw wide, looping, hard as hell shots.
Right.
And what Gvozdyk did, he was able to throw between those punches, throw from the outside, and when he got on the outside, again, keep his hands moving, keep him from holding, and just defending against those close looping shots. And he was just able to sharpshoot. The one thing he was patient once he hurt him. He didn't go for the fences and burn himself out. And even as Gonzalez was throwing back, he timed the shots. You want to throw wide looping shots? I can see that from a mile away, and I'm gonna hit you with a right hand. So unlike Shabransky, who was knocked out versus a Barrera, Gvozdyk pretty much answered the call. I would love to see him versus a Barrera. I would love to see him versus a Beer, because those are two supremely interesting fights.
Yes. So let's go into the main event, in which we had Jason Sosa, who he relinquished his title to fight Lomachenko. He had the WBA title. Lomachenko has the WBO. And in this fight, not many people gave Sosa a chance.
Rightfully so.
We did not really give him a chance per se. Bless him. But we pointed out some things that he could do to have success early. Unfortunately, the Campbell Lomachenko made those same connections as well.
That's right.
And this fight was not close at any point, unfortunately, for Sosa. And that was not for lack of trying, because everything he threw had evil intentions on it. He wasn't trying to set anything up, trying to throw soft into the hard shots. Everything was knockout oriented. And Lomachenko had it scouted already to a T. And he used his superior footwork to not be there or not be in position for those punches to land effectively. Also, we talked about how Sosa liked to cut angles, especially when he threw his left hook. And like I said, Lomachenko cut the angle away from Sosa, so he could not land that left hook effectively the way he did on his previous opponents. So what we got was another sharpshooting clinic, another footwork clinic from Lomachenko. And like I said, when those guys get close and like you hit them or buzz them and you try to grab them and stop the action, they will rip swim like some defensive linemen and get you off of them and continue to go back to work. That is a daunting task to stand up to when you're the other guy. You're like, all right, let me try and get this guy to slow down a little bit. And they're like, no, we're not slowing down at all. I'm gonna keep going, and you can't do anything about it. And that's what I want to say to any guy that complains about somebody holding. If you don't want somebody to hold you, or if you feel that they hold already going into the fight, stop them from doing it. The ref is not there for your protection. They like to say that they are, but if someone does something to you, it's going to happen after the fact. The ref can only protect you after the fact. So what you have to do is, before it happens, not let it happen. That's what impressed me with all three of these guys this past Saturday. They were like, look, you're not going to get close enough to me to either have your head come into play or slow down the action by holding. And they completely prevented it from happening. It happened a few times during the Hunter-Usyk fight, but it was only on Usyk's terms. When he was okay with holding, that's when it happened. With Lomachenko and Gvozdyk, they wanted to keep working, so they kept working. He would slide, pivot, like I said, rip them off, and just keep punching so they wouldn't even allow the hold to happen. So, like I said, that was very impressive, and any other guy who complains about holding should take notes and try to implement this as well. If you don't want a guy to hold you, don't let him do it. That's pretty much how it goes. You now see how that can happen. So as the fight goes on, Sosa's still trying. He's still trying that angle, but Lomachenko's hands are there. He knew it was coming, and he blocks it. He's able to return fire with his own hook off an angle. He's throwing excellent body punches. He's just really lighting Sosa up the entire time. And it was an impressive performance. You got anything?
No. At this point, doors open for Lomachenko. At 130, he could face Terry Flanagan, who in the same weekend beat Peter Petrov over 12 rounds. It wasn't really even that close. Terry Flanagan was able to outbox him. He's not a power puncher, so that's an option for him. He'll probably take the fight in the U.S., but there might be bigger money in England. Who knows? In that division, I don't really think anyone's ready for him. I mean, there's Gervonta Davis, who's fighting Liam Walsh in, I want to say, a few weeks, if not.
I think it might be next week.
Yeah.
The 22nd?
Yeah, so look out for that next week. There's also the Orlando Salido rematch, which I think at 130.
Neither guy wants that fight. Lomachenko's camp is like, why? We don't need to do that. We know, we moved on. And so has Salido is saying the same thing, like, I don't need that guy. I beat him already.
That's more so of a legacy thing, because you always want to have a guy beat a guy who beat you if you're at the skill level that you displayed, but you still have that one blemish on your record. So
that would be more from like, I guess, a fan standpoint. That match again.
Right.
Neither guy wants. They're like, forget it. We know I'm better than him, so let's get.
But there's always going to be that question.
We want to be like, can you prove it in the ring?
In the pound for pound discussion, it's always going to be, well, I'm number one pound for pound. Yeah, but you lost to this guy, and you still haven't fought him again. Trust me, that will always hang over his head until that fight gets made. And Salido presents a different challenge than anyone else because he can bring pressure like no one can, and he's willing to take some punishment, 3-4 hits to land one. He's also going to hit you any and everywhere. Yeah. And of course, he doesn't mind coming in overweight. Also at 130, I think there's Jezreel Corrales, I think.
Yeah.
And you also have Tevin Farmer, who has looked impressive since over the last 10 fights, who's really needs a big fight coming up against somebody. And if he actually gets more active, which I doubt he will, Nicholas Walters might come back and say, hey, I'm better now, let's get it on. But I think the real challenge for Lomachenko, for him, is going to be at 135. Because there's just a different set of challenges.
I think him and Linares would be excellent.
Linares is one of them. You have... what's my man from Ohio? He's under Adrian Broner's.
Robert Easter.
Robert Easter, who's just about close to 6 feet and can throw a value and can hit hard. That is a much different challenge. I'm not saying he's more skillful, but it's a different look.
Right, and then you have Mikey Garcia, who's
which
as well.
They've been talking a little bit of shit back and forth. Mikey was like, yeah, come on, bring him up. He could get these problems too. Lomachenko was like, I would love to take him and Terrence Crawford. Slow your brakes there, buddy. You're great, but this is at a bigger weight with guys who probably just as skilled and has a much nastier disposition. We already saw what Mikey Garcia did with Dejan's was teaching him.
Yeah, that was me. I thought he killed him.
So, hey, I would love to see it. If they make it, I hope that is a pay-per-view level fight. Not to say it's going on pay-per-view, but it also may not happen because Mikey Garcia is no longer with Top Rank. Yeah. Lomachenko is, and you know how that bad blood is when you leave Top Rank in the manner that you did.
Right. And I do, I want to see Salido and Lomachenko go at it again to see if those things he learned, like the negation of the close in battle, if he can implement that against Salido. But like I said, neither guy is really clamoring to fight each other. Like they're like, we're done. So I don't think we're gonna see it. But that's the reason I want to see if he can implement that style against someone who really uses that style. Because all those guys that you mentioned, they're also rangy boxers as well with power. But you didn't, none of them are those ferocious guys that are gonna be in your face all night. I want to see if he can use that style against one of those guys.
Right.
Even with Sosa. Sosa wasn't a guy that was going to be on the inside and try to rough you up. He was also a come forward boxer who liked to use angles. So unfortunately we may not see that. So we'll see what happens next. You got anything else in closing?
I wanted to look up one thing. Don't mind me, I had my phone on.
Okay. So
I
he's looking at that.
Sorry. Ignore me. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to close out because that's all I got.
Ooh.
I don't have anything else.
I'm sorry. Miguel Burchell, who just beat Francisco Vargas. And you also have...
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a good fight, too.
Yeah, and then you have Takashi Miura, Takashi Uchiyama. Or he could try to take on Jose Pedraza. There's plenty of guys that are on here.
Oh, so you're looking at the ratings for 130.
130. Again, you have Tevin Farmer, and then after that, it gets kind of yeah, it's not worth it. But if you go to, let's see.
You're going to 135?
I'm going to 135. This is why I always have my phone on me. Yeah, like I said, Flanagan, Garcia, Robert Easter, Linares. He could meet a catchweight versus Arances Bartholomew.
That would be an excellent fight, too.
So, and we got Felix Verdejo. So there are people to fight that he can fight. So, yeah. The door is open for Lomachenko, and a lot of these fighters actually fight for either top rank or Golden Boy.
Yeah, and they are on good terms now, so they can make fights together, which is exciting. We need to get these guys of separate promotional outfits together. It's one of the things that we have in this sport over another sport that I love, mixed martial arts, because you can't have the Bellator champ fight the UFC champ.
Exactly.
And I think Michael Chandler will give a lot of 155ers in the UFC a run for their money.
Oh yeah.
But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts on the fight below. Share this with your friends. You know you can catch us on all the social networks. Links are down below. Subscribe to get all of our updates. We were kind of trying to rush this one out because, as you see, we're dressed a little differently than normal. We got things to do today. So we're going to go get those things done. I also have the preview for the UFC card that's happening this Saturday. I'm going to try and get in one for Bellator. I've already shot the UFC one. But I'm going to try to get the Bellator one out maybe on the drive back home. And so subscribe, get all of that. You'll have plenty of fight information. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, fight on.
This is round one and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming at cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.